the first active learning cycle that I have put into action after being trained in this. And our first standards that we are introducing in this cycle has to do with exposure, composition, and studio lighting.
We, of course, put our heads down and did our best and accepted the challenge. And the more that we practiced it, the better we got at it and understanding the learning cycle. But I think the more we tried and the more we put effort in, the easier it got and the more we started to see good results.
We're doing the Civil War and they found out what their mastery standards were, what the expectation was, and then the leaders just kind of took it from there. They got on computers and got it done. They really have to know the TEAC. And everything's TEAC based, and so I try to teach them the actual language of the TEAC, and I want them to be exposed to it so they can know this is why we're doing it to this level. And we small group if they don't get it.
We started out doing an injury report where I brought in a real world experience and showed them an actual ankle that had been injured and had the swelling. So that was kind of our inspire for the day.
At the beginning of the active learning cycle is inspire and commit, and we introduce this into the classroom by giving each group the challenge. And the challenge is to boost one of their peers as an athlete, an upcoming athlete, to be featured in a Sports Illustrated magazine. And that leads the unit into the standards that I want them to master.
We started a new cycle, and they were in the commit phase. So they did a pre-assessment that had 6th grade and 7th grade TEACs on it, just questions, open-ended questions for some 6th grade stuff and 7th grade stuff. And on there they have what I call a level finder, where they just match the number that they miss for each section, and the highest number they miss is where their level's going to start. So if you miss the most in level 2, then you're going to start at level 2. After that, we go over the assignment plan, which we kind of started today, but not totally. So we'll finish tomorrow with going over the assignment plan so they know where their assignments, what they start with, and they have due dates for each level as they progress.
We start off the day and end the day in a team huddle. In the middle of the day, they go and work, and their work has to do with meeting their goals that they've set for themselves. I made this table that they fill out, one table per day. At the top, they talk about what they want to accomplish. And the most important thing, I think, is the reflection piece at the bottom. So at the team huddle at the beginning, they decide as a group, they decide individually, what are we going to do? Are we going to do a DIY together? Are we going to talk about one level? I was absent, so I'm going to go do this. You were not here, etc. They decide how they're going to do their day. They are taking ownership of their learning, and they're doing what they're going to do. At the end of the period, when they are doing their reflection piece, they are going to literally list out, I accomplished this, I learned this, I wish, and then next class I will. If you don't reflect, you don't grow.
We cheat squatted today where they learn the information and they go back and teach their groups. And then everyone else was just kind of working autonomously by themselves until their cheat squad manager came to help them. I've taken the curriculum, the IFD, and I've had to break it down based off of the learning progressions. And I think it's made a difference because now the students see this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm headed, this is the ultimate goal. And when they have the goal in mind, it's easier for them to work without them just kind of, oh, I'm supposed to know the Civil War. Now they know specifically what they need to know about it.
There were a few times where I was a little confused on how to get started with active learning cycle, but through my coaching sessions and the log, I've been able to configure what I want my end goal to be and then take that end goal and scaffold it through the resources and TEACs and just develop a plan and a lesson plan for my students as well as a rubric.
Looking back, I wish I had started the year earlier doing this model because I've seen so much growth within my students in the last 3 weeks that I can't even imagine how much more they would grow at the end of the year if I had started a lot sooner. I've seen collaboration and autonomy grow from day one. Folks that are quiet, that sit in the corner are now teaching other folks because they had the opportunity to grow and learn something, and people in the classroom are noticing it and going to them because I'm not the one in front anymore.
I've seen an improvement in their content. When I compare my scores from the beginning of last year before I was doing the cycles till now, I have shown improvement. I have the future ready skills is still something we need to work on more, but this semester has kind of been my focus on giving them rubrics with the future ready skills, having them making goals on the future ready skills, so they're becoming more familiar with them and what it takes to be able to master those different skills.
After our first test, and I compared it to our last test after I did try to cycle, the improvement, as the data kept improving, I mean, my data's probably improved like 5-10% just in this one school year using the active learning cycle, and the students responded really well to it. I think their confidence has grown as well. It's to the point now where I think that they come in and they know I can do it. Like, I can do whatever she puts in front of me. She's gonna give me the time to work it out. I'm gonna figure it out with my group. She's gonna assess me along the way so I know where I don't know, and she's gonna fix it. And I really think that that's just growth in itself. Them changing their minds, them saying I can do it. It's great because it puts the learning in their hands, and it's not the teacher talking and lecturing. Like, they are learning to be self-sufficient. So I feel like they're becoming well-rounded learners, and I see the growth in just what they create.
It does not have to be perfect. If you just put something down, try it, and then take it and adjust for the next one, because it's not going to be perfect, because students are students. They have different needs. They have, different skills, different things like that you're not really accounting for sometimes because there's 21 students in one of you. You do the best you can when planning and put it down and then adjust where you need to adjust. That's where I would get stuck, is whenever I thought it had to be perfect, I had to account for every little thing that might happen at each station, at each check-in, at each workshop, and that's not the life of a teacher. A teacher, you're supposed to be flexible and adjust, and that's the same when we're planning lessons too. You plan a lesson knowing that you're going to have to adjust it at some point, and so I just would advise to be patient with yourself and be patient with your students, and don't expect it to be perfect, because it will come together whether it's perfect or not.
It is time consuming. The planning is hard. Like, you have to plan way ahead. You have to plan for every step. So it's a hard thing to get down, but once you get it, the kids love it. They really do. I think it's teaching them, they're 21st century learners.
So seeing them work together so well and also be so excited about what they're learning, it was just, to me, that's what drives me. Whenever my students are excited and engaged in the learning, it makes me excited and engaged. No matter how many hours of planning I'm having to spend, seeing them be so excited and in control of their learning and knowing where they need to go was so powerful. First graders could see where they are at and then see where they need to go, and then they take the steps that they need to take to get where they need to be. That was incredible. And then being able for them to verbalize what they were doing, that they could go home and tell their parents, I'm learning about inferencing, and here are the steps that I need to take to get to the next level of inferencing, or word problems. I know for part whole word problems, I need to work on how I'm building my concrete models, or how I'm just hearing them self-reflect and be able to take control of their learning as first graders. I mean, that was incredible, and it just drove me to keep going, and it made me excited about planning the next unit.
It's been a godsend. So for me, I love it. I wanted to give up on it, but I went and seen Miss Trotter's classroom, and her data was amazing. And I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm still cycling. I'm not giving up on it. And I said, you know what? When I try to go back whole group teaching, lecturing all class period, my data dropped. I said, you know what? I'm going back to cycle 2. So with Crystal's help, with my instructional leaders, my instructional coaches, and my team, I just keep at it, and the students like it. So I like it. I don't know what else to say, but I've seen growth in their mindset. I've seen growth in data and just their confidence in what they can do in their work. So